be I. Mary of soul, she sailed on a day over the sea to sky. Billow and breeze, islands and seas, mountains of rain and sun. All that was good, all that was fair, all that was me is gone. Sing me a song of a lass that is gone. Say, could that lass be I? Mary of soul, she sailed on a day over the sea to sky.
That was lovely, thank you. We have kind of a family theme going on here this morning. Good morning, I'm Mary Glick.
And I'm Andy Glick. And we're your worship associates this morning.
It's our joy to welcome members and visitors of all ages, those connecting online, and those of you here in the sanctuary. We feel honored to be part of this service because of our connections with the Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater. That will be a topic in today's sermon by our UUA president, Reverend Sofía Betancourt. She was inspired by the dance company as a young girl.
My mom knew Alvin Ailey in the 1950s when the dancer was starting out in Los Angeles before the company moved to New York. She even collaborated with Ailey on the idea for a dance about an interracial couple breaking through the barrier of bigotry. Flash
forward to the year 2011, when Andy and I were living outside of Washington, D.C., and the Alvin Ailey Company came to perform at the Kennedy Center. After their performance, which was fabulous, we were invited by a dancer friend of ours to join her for dinner with her friend, the company's new artistic director, Robert Weddell. It was really a magical evening.
And I had the opportunity to tell Robert Weddell about that long-forgotten collaboration with my mother. And Mary and I continue to feel a special connection with this acclaimed dance company in today's service. Now, please take a minute or two to greet those around you.
It's good to be together. This congregation respectfully acknowledges and honors indigenous communities. UUSLO stands on land which was taken from the Yaktichu-Tichu Yaktilhini Northern Chumash tribe without consideration, agreement, or compensation. We honor their historical and sacred connections to this land. We welcome visitors this morning and invite you to stay after the service for informal social time in our social hall through those doors there, or you can gather on our labyrinth, which is right behind you. Online visitors may stay and connect with others after the service on Zoom. If you want to know more about Unitarian Universalism or this church, you may fill out a green visitor card, which you can find here in the pews, and then put it in the offering basket later in the service. Or bring it to the newcomers table in the social hall after the service. Visitors online may fill out the form on our website, UUSLO.org, at the bottom of the main page. Feel free to contact our membership director, Larry Iquinta, with any questions, either at the newcomers table or at membership.uuslo@gmail.com. Once again, a warm welcome to all.
Today's chalice lighting is by Judith L. Quarles. At this hour, in small towns and big cities, in single rooms and ornate sanctuaries, many of our sibling Unitarian Universalist congregations are also lighting a flaming chalice. As we light our chalice today, let us remember that we are part of a great community of faith. May this dancing flame inspire us to fill our lives with the Unitarian Universalist ideals of love, justice, and truth. Please join us from your seats now in singing the words of today's doxology that you'll be able to see on the screen in front of you.
Rejoice in love we know and share, in love and beauty everywhere. Rejoice in truth that makes us free, and in the good that yet shall be.
Sorry, tech failure.
I don't know if the battery's dead or what the problem is, but the slides will not advance.
Oh,
There we go.
better late than never.
You did great, though. Today's call to worship is by Katie Romano Griffin. Come, let us enter this space of hope and community. Come, let us enter this space with our sorrows, our joys, our passion, and compassion. Come, let us enter this space with the stories of our ancestors, for their strength and wisdom beats in our hearts. Come into this space, present to the beloved companions who move beside us. Come into this space, mindful that together we are building a future for other generations. Come into this space and let us worship. Now, if you would please rise in body or spirit and join in singing not the hymn that's listed in your order of service, but number 149, Lift Every Voice and Sing, in your gray hymnal. And maybe you'll be able to follow along on the screen. Aidan and Andy will lead us, number 149.
Liberty.
two verses this morning. Okay, now I invite the children and associated adults and our Director of Religious Exploration, Janet Murphy, to come forward for today's Time for All Ages.
Thank you all for being here. It's lovely to see you. We have a little entertaining video today that is about dancing. I'm just curious, do any of you dance? Are you dancers? Yes? Mm-hmm. 1, 2. I'm sad Charlie's not here because she's a major dancer. She could do pirouettes and all kinds of fun things for us. But I like to think every one of us is a dancer. How about you guys? Who likes to dance out there in the audience? Look at all those hands, you guys. All those folks like to dance. So let's see what this special video is about dancing.
When Langston Dances, written by Kaja Langley, illustrated by Keith Mallett. Langston liked basketball, but he adored ballet. He fell in love the first time his mother took him to see the Alvin Ailey Dance Company. So many bodies swung across the stage, spinning, leaping, twirling dancers everywhere. "Do you think I can dance like that?" Langston asked his mother. "You can do whatever you set your mind to doing," his mother said. From that day forward, Langston practiced in front of his bedroom mirror. Finally, one Saturday morning, he felt ready for his first day of school. "Today is the day I dance," he told his mother as he double-tied his sneakers. "And you can dance to your heart's content," his mother said. On the way to his new school, Langston told everyone he met, "Watch me dance." He dipped for the mail carrier putting letters in the box, and kicked for the police officer helping them cross the street, and spun for the barber sweeping his sidewalk. Langston waited for his applause. Instead, a kid passing by said, "Boys don't dance like that." Langston huddled closer to his mother, but he replied, "They do too. I've seen them." When he arrived at Miss Marie's dance studio, Langston felt nervous. Would the other students like the way he moved? Was he dressed properly in his basketball shorts and sneakers? A gentle push from his mother, and Langston set off to find his class. The first room was a class of students learning how to tap. Shuffle, shuffle, tap, tap, shuffle, shuffle, tap. Langston wandered to the next class. He felt the boom from the music beneath his feet as students practiced hip-hop dance. Another class of students clapped their hands and stomped their feet, keeping rhythm with a man beating a drum. They were learning African dance. In the last classroom, the music was so quiet, Langston could barely hear it. He watched excitedly as little girls stood in a line along the bar in front of a mirror and practiced the ballet positions as the dance teacher called them out. "First position," she called. When the girls moved their feet into the shape of a V, Langston held onto the door frame and followed their lead. "Second position," the teacher announced next. When the class slid one foot away, so did Langston. Finally, Langston kicked off his sneakers and darted into the class to take his place at the bar. He closed his eyes and remembered the Alvin Ailey dancers. The teacher clapped her hands to bring the class to attention. Langston opened his eyes and realized he stood alone in front of the mirror. "Welcome to ballet. I'm Miss Marie," said the teacher. "I've been expecting you, Langston. In this class, we wear shoes." Miss Marie floated gracefully toward a closet. She rummaged through a box and mumbled, "No, no, no," before exclaiming, "Yes." She handed Langston a pair of black ballet slippers. They were different from the other students' slippers, but he tried them on with delight. They fit him perfectly. Overjoyed, Langston took off running and leaping across the room. He spun and jumped, dipped and kicked. The girls gasped in wonder. Miss Marie nodded her approval. Then she clapped her hands again. "This is serious business. You must work very hard to be a ballet dancer. You'll have to earn those shoes, you know. I will, Langston said, standing taller than before. The class lined up again along the mirror, and Langston took his place. He promised to work hard in every class, and Langston danced and danced.
Is it okay for boys to dance? Absolutely. I think so too. Yeah. I hope you all find your favorite dance moves. So in honor of dancing, we are going to do the movement prayer. So let's have everybody stand up. Oh, this is not the movement prayer though. Do we have the movement prayer slide? Oh, there we are. Perfect. All right. First, we bow to honor the spirit of life. We lift our arms to embrace the gifts of spirit. We bring these gifts unto ourselves with gratitude. And breathe. And smile. We share these gifts with the world, and we remember to be in the present. All right, one more time. Here we go. First, bow. Embrace, gratitude, breathe, smile, share, and be in the present. Thank you all. We're going to have some dance moves down the aisle as we leave here today.
The light is carried from this common flame of our multi-generational congregation into the religious exploration space with the children and youth. Please join in singing The Children on Their Way. I have a couple of announcements this morning. First off, the anti-oppression community invites you to join them after the service for a pizza lunch in the social hall. They'll share with us their current concerns and commitments and invite you to share your concerns and commitments. Everyone's welcome. And here's one from Susan Bailey Caden and Jenny Martin about the upcoming death cafes. They say, come join us for refreshments and conversation about death, dying, and being fully alive. Death cafes have no agenda. The hosts provide a safe space for members to discuss their own thoughts, feelings, and concerns. The hosts will be Susan and Jenny, who are both end-of-life doulas. The death cafes will take place from 6 to 7 p.m. on the following Tuesdays, July 22nd, August 19th, and September 16th. Come to one meeting or all of them. You'll find more information in the weekly newsletter and in the hall on the bulletin board. We also set aside some time in our service to share with each other those milestones that are most deeply felt in our lives. We have one joy today from Mary Sampson and Rob DeGraff. We had a delightful evening at Dawn and Eric Olsen's home yesterday, building our own pizzas, lively conversation, delicious food, and wonderful fellowship. Sorry I missed that one. Lots of good auction item events taking place over the coming months, and I hope you have a chance to participate. Let's hold together all the joys and any sorrows that remain unspoken, offering a prayer for the healing of pain and opening ourselves to a renewed awareness of and commitment to the truly awesome power of love within and beyond this community. Let's take a few minutes just to reflect. Our community outreach recipient for the month of July is the Community Counseling Center of SLO County. Please welcome their executive director, James Statler, to speak more about the offering.
Well, good morning, everybody. I'm taken aback by how warm and welcoming this congregation is. I'm James Statler, Executive Director of the Community Counseling Center of San Luis Obispo County, and I've been in that role now for 15 years, and I think that we're as important as ever as a mental health safety net and preventative care provider of affordable professional psychotherapy for folks that are of a modest to low income in San Luis Obispo County. Before I get going, I just want to acknowledge we've got some special connections through our agency with this congregation. I probably can't name them all, but I should certainly start with Pinar Perini, our HR and finance specialist who helped get me here today, to Judy Hornaday, of course, for my liaison and coordinating, Steve Caden, yes, the director of clinical training for our doctoral program in the past, a clinical supervisor, Susan Bailey Caden, of course, LMFT, Gina Whitaker, who I've done grassroots social justice work for, close to 2 decades now. And I don't think she's here today, but certainly wanted to shout out Joni Gellert-Sargent, just a wonderful person in the community who obviously is philanthropic to causes like Community Counseling Center. So I'd love to just give you the quick overview of who we are and what we do. If you didn't know, we've been around since 1968. We've got 4 fundamental mental health counseling programs. We have our sliding scale core program, which is essentially a no red tape program for anyone who's of modest means that wants psychotherapy and can't afford it in the private practice world or doesn't qualify for public benefits. We take San-Cal Medi-Cal as an insurance for full coverage mental health counseling. We have a student mental wellness program, which is K-12, on-campus based, which has been going on for 15 years. And we have our newest program, which is a perinatal mood and anxiety disorder program, or really maternal mental wellness for mothers and fathers that have kids 0 to 5. And that's in collaboration with Pregnancy and Parenting Support, another lovely nonprofit that's in the community. You may know my wife is the executive director of that nonprofit, and they're doing a big diaper drive right now, so shout out to them. I'd also like to highlight what we hope our clients walk away from or what they experience at CCC. I mean, I certainly think that we're a very approachable agency, but I mean, I think that deep feeling of acceptance, I'm making up a word here, but seenness or being seen for everyone's individual need for psychological and spiritual well-being, and that we can help them reveal their humanity and their resiliency to come out on the other side and contribute and be a whole person in the community. We do have a headquarters clinic downtown San Luis Obispo, a beautiful old 19th century house that we remodeled next to St. Stephen's Church. We also have a branch office in Paso Robles. We have a big presence in the North County. And of course, we offer teletherapy in this day and age for folks that have travel barriers or would just prefer to do teletherapy. We serve over 2,000 clients a year across the county through all our programs. We typically engage and train over 60 licensed and pre-licensed therapists who are gathering their hours or are just on a professional development journey. In 2024, we achieved a major milestone by completing an operating endowment campaign. We publicly raised over $250,000, which we've now placed under management at the Community Foundation, and we're hoping to grow into the future. The last time I was here was 6 years ago, right after we had completed our 50th anniversary, golden anniversary campaign, which helped us buy our building downtown, and we still are maintaining. And you may have read in the Tribune, but we are not immune to the government, cuts that are out there. We've got about a 28% cut to our overall operating budget this fiscal year, 15% from grants, another 13% from our contracts with the schools. But that said, we have been nimble in our response and kind of getting proactive about some of these things coming down the line. And we're actually as well staffed as ever. So part of today is also to say, make sure that in your community or friend circles or in this congregation, if you know anybody who's in need of that professional psychotherapeutic, service, to think about CCC. We're well staffed with record numbers actually of associates. We have over 15 associate level therapists, we have over 10 trainees, and then we've got a bevy of licensed therapists that supervise and see clients. Yeah, I think my last note would just be I'll be here for a bit after the program for the social if you want to connect. And I just want to say UUSLO has always been just such a progressive and embracing group, and I'm so grateful for the opportunity to be here today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, James. You can read more about our community outreach offering in our weekly newsletter or by visiting our website, uu.slo/COO. Here's the giving page on our website, which shows the various funds to which you can target your donations. At the bottom of your order of service is a QR code that will take you directly to the giving page. If you have any questions about your pledge payments, donations, or any other financial matters, please contact our office. Generosity is central to who we are and what we do together, and so we make time in each week for an offering from our abundance to sustain this gathering and to strengthen the work of love that grows from our commitments to each other, to the wider community, and to the world. Please join with me in the words for the offering. We are this church. We are its hands, its heart, its voice. Together we share the wealth of this community and sustain it with our gifts. The offering will now be given and received. Thank you, Karen. Today's reading is a little different. As I said earlier, today's sermon touches on how Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater inspired Reverend Sofía Betancourt. She was especially inspired by the dancer Judith Jamison, who went on to serve as the company's artistic director from 1989 to 2011. And I might add that Jamison was the one who selected Robert Battle as her successor. For Reverend Betancourt, Jamison modeled pride and possibilities while confronted with oppression and racial violence. Perhaps we can think of Jamison as a disciple who dedicated her life to Black history and Black excellence. For a glimpse of the inspiration felt by our UUA president, please take a look at this video clip of a 2019 TED Talk by Judith Jamison, who was then 76 years old. It includes an excerpt from the iconic Alvin Ailey ballet, Revelations, which we saw at the Kennedy Center, and which Jamison danced in her early days. And you'll also hear a few words from Jamison on the power of dance to embody our shared humanity. Got cut off at the end. While I was dancing mine.
really gorgeous. Today's sermon by Reverend Sofía Betancourt was originally delivered to First Unitarian Church of Dallas in November 2024, just after the election of Donald Trump, and days after the passing of that disciple of Black excellence, Judith Jamison. In this sermon, Reverend Betancourt points out that in other faiths, disciples follow a spiritual teacher. But as UUs, we can become disciples of larger ideals, such as love or justice, compassion, mutual aid, and ethical interdependence. It's not just what we believe, but how we live our lives.
She saved my life. I keep hearing and reading these words as Black women in particular respond to the recent death of Judith Jamison. She who modeled life and truth-telling and dignity and grace for us on a bodily level. I'm talking about a remarkable woman who I first encountered as a dancer with Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater, and most recently experienced her as their artistic director all the way from 1989 to 2011. They honored her until her death last week as their artistic director emerita. You may know Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater as a renowned company whose mission and legacy centers on uplifting the African American experience while transcending boundaries of race, faith, and nationality. The company speaks of its universal humanity, and to this day, proudly models values that I try to center in my own living. Every time I go to see an Ailey performance, I know my heart is going to break open, that I will be called back into my body, and that the truths of my living will be returned to me. This is a priceless gift that my parents gave me, and I don't know if it was my love of dance or their ability to witness how my heart returned to its rightful rhythm in those seats at City Center. But I saw more Alvin Ailey performances as a child growing up in New York City than just about anything else. In these liminal days, the practice of returning to the truths of my living feels central to what it means to live faithfully in this moment. What's centering you? Woven throughout those earliest years in the audience at City Center for me are the breathtaking performances of Judith Jamison while she herself was still dancing. She danced and moved through the world with a heart broken open, and she told stories of holding fast to pride and possibility through the travesties of injustice and racialized violence and misogyny. Her movements paid tribute to Alvin Ailey's values and prophetic witness, and most of us who were privileged to witness her art found ourselves forever changed by the experience. She became what I now call a living exemplar, one who moves through the world in such a way that the rest of us cannot help but bear witness and engage with the largest questions of life itself that are modeled through her very being. She challenges us without speaking a word. For me, Jamison was a disciple of Black history and Black excellence, and a prophetic witness to the love that held all of that together. I carry her unspoken lessons with me everywhere I go. Now, time and again in my own preaching and lecturing, I hear myself saying that what I most long for in Unitarian Universalism is a deep understanding of discipleship. Now, almost immediately then, I pause and I explain my awareness that for some of us, a different word might resonate more effectively, but that new name has not suggested itself to me yet, and I don't really think the semantics of it are the point, right? Somewhere in the intersection between spiritual practice, theological engagement, lived ethics, and daily choices, exists a kind of awareness that makes us better Unitarian Universalists over time, right? Better in terms of our communal connections, our faithful living, and an ever-deepening sense of self as part of a larger whole, rather than that semi-competitive individualism that can creep into our everyday norms. Right? Discipleship is often assumed to mean the practice of following just one specific religious leader. Have you heard this definition before? Yep, right, usually to the point of trying to model our actions on their way of life. We see this often in Christian teachings as community members are invited to become Christ-like in their living. And there's virtue in that practice, and yet the idea of discipleship is not limited to the relationship to one master teacher. We can become disciples of larger ideals, such as love or justice, choosing to make significant life choices that center and emphasize those values in the world. So discipleship can be as much about being the student of a particular set of teachings as it is following one specific teacher. And that's closer to what I imagine when I think of what a UU discipleship might look like. I dream of a welcoming, non-coercive, invitational way of living that is countercultural to society as it is at the moment, that places ideals such as compassion, mutual aid, justice, and ethical interdependence at the heart of how we make our choices, how we grow in our faith, and what we choose to model to the world. Yeah, this is everyday practice, right? This is not a lofty thing that we kind of imagine on Sunday morning or perform for each other. This is about, yes, what we believe, but it's not just how we answer what we believe. It's how we make recognizable choices in our living. I would like my life to be resonant to those who would be guided by values similar to mine. Right? I would like to remain open to new interpretations of what it means to love as if it matters to people other than myself, right? And for that community to whom it matters to be larger with every passing day. I want to live challenged and inspired by the things we collectively hold most dear in our liberal and liberating tradition. And for me, that lightens the challenging times like these days. Right? It gives me resources to combat despair, and it reminds me that I'm never alone, and that by my living, I can make room for someone else to thrive. So how does the Unitarian Universalism of your understanding shape the everyday decisions that you make when you are far from church, when times are hard, and most especially when not a single person is watching? How does it impact the conversations that you have with loved ones or the things that you teach to children? How does it encourage you to stay connected to each other? These are most certainly days when we are helped in answering the calls we're hearing right now, right? To pace ourselves, to follow frontline communities and long-established leaders in the work of justice, to resist those reactionary responses to election results. I can't be the only one, right? The never-ending announcements of incoming national political leaders by having something stable to hold on to. How might our faith, our simple, everyday ways of staying connected to our living tradition, help us to not be buffeted about by the 24-hour news cycle or by messages that I truly believe are intended to drown us in despair? I've been offering a lot of prayers and messages lately. And all through the privilege, and it really is a privilege, of speaking with UUs across the country, I've been held by the wisdom of one of our UUA staff chaplains, the Reverend Victoria Safford. She reminds me of how I wish to move through life as a disciple of love itself. In her upcoming addition to our recent publication, Love at the Center, Unitarian Universalist Theologies, Reverend Safford writes the following: "Now and here, in this unlikely, perhaps unreplicated, gorgeous world, this shimmering, sorrowing world, we exist together. No scientist, no sorcerer, no sacred text can ever fully tell us why or how it's happened. This existence, whether we ask our whole lives long in the idiom of astrophysics or a child's bedazzled wonder. We are here now, and we all belong, beloved. And therefore my work, however imperfect it may be at the end of the day, my work and my joy is to strive to act accordingly, as if your presence, whoever you are, wherever you are on this earth, in your presence I were in the presence of the holy. I have no other words to describe it, this love that guides us, calls us, heals us, and holds us in its hands. Beloveds, this is a teaching on love that I can hold fast to in difficult times, to strive to act accordingly. Discipleship, being ridiculously courageous in love. Am I saying that it is my practice to center everyone's dignity and worthiness, even in the moments when they are acting in profoundly immoral ways? No. I said earlier this morning that my mother was my first theologian, and she used to tell me how good it was that she is not God. Right? But I am saying that it is part of my calling to de-escalate, to disrupt attempts to violate my own dignity and worthiness or that of others. Right? Once we have had a real moment to process our outrage, our fear, our numbness, worries, or disbelief, once there has been time to discuss real strategy and values, community, justice, and well-being, once we have listened to those, including those in this congregation and its powerful leadership who have been doing the work of justice for decades, it's going to be time to respond. On what will you ground that response? Right, so what are we meant to hold on to in these times, and how do we move forward? My colleague, the Reverend Nancy McDonald Ladd, who serves as Director of Communications and Public Ministry at your Unitarian Universalist Association, asked this question another way when I told her what I would be preaching about this morning. Reverend Nancy wants to know how we become disciples of a living tradition rather than a sealed revelation. Right? She asks what it means to be dedicated disciples of love. What I so appreciate about working with her is that she constantly brings us back to our shared values as that which claims us as Unitarian Universalists rather than the other way around. Right? It's not enough to say that love lives at the center of this tradition. We must also ask what it means to live as if love itself matters. Right? This is about choosing day by day to be students or disciples of a living tradition, one that is ever evolving and asks us regularly to find new ways of expressing our deepest theological truths. This does not mean that we do away with what we have known. That's never what it's been about, right? It means that we interpret what we believe for the times that we are in. Our living tradition, I'm sure you've heard this in the sanctuary, is born of the free church movement, and it relies on us. It does, to be stewards of a future that brings hope to our communities. It relies on us to stay faithful to the values of our living and to bear witness to that goal of world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all, even in this liminal moment, no matter what happens in this nation or in the world. I know that here at the First Unitarian Church of Dallas, you are rightly proud of your decades-long commitment to the work of justice in a community that does not always fully share or support your beliefs. I think you have a lot to teach us in this movement about how to be faithful stewards of the shared values that we are living into anew in our living tradition. I suspect you have a lot to share with one another and with Unitarian Universalism writ large about what it means to hold your Unitarian Universalism close in your day-to-day living. I want to thank you for your profound presence in our faith and for the deep, abiding faithfulness of your shared ministry. My prayer is that together, held fast by the promise of a love that abides, we will take this collective moment to lean fully into the here and now, to pull into our bodies and our beings all that calls us back to our best selves, that we might hold with grief of this moment, yes, to hold it with honesty, with openness, with reverence for the sacredness of all life. This time of worried run-up to inauguration for many of us can also be a time of healthy lament. Lament is a spiritual practice, right? And as we hold with gratitude the immense work undertaken by UU the Vote, by other ongoing efforts to bring our values to bear on the moral conscience of our nation, may we be helped to also hold with repentance and regret the foundations of misogyny, racism, xenophobia, ableism, cis-sexism, economic exploitation, and white supremacy that continue to place so many lives at risk. I pray that we can pause together in this moment to take time to listen to those whose lived experience and leadership have wisdom to offer and to resist the immediate reactivity of the day, that we might trust in a larger, loving strength, in a community of hope, resistance, and possibility that holds us in difficult times and challenges us to reflect honestly on the histories and legacies of injustice that continue to haunt and harm our nation today. Can we hold those painful legacies together, aware both of the ways that we benefit from them and the ways that we are harmed by them, just for a moment? Can we hold fast to love as a future alternative that calls us to stay together in community, to fight for our collective power, and to stay true to that which we hold most dear in the years to come? As we are reminded of all that drives our commitment to shift those legacies of dehumanizing violence through our living, may we remember that the choices we make as a nation do not impact all of us.
Give me 1 second, please.
The Reverend Nancy McDonald Ladd, who serves as Director of Communications and Public Ministry at your Unitarian Universalist Association, asked this question another way when I told her what I would be preaching about this morning. Reverend Nancy wants to know how we become disciples of a living tradition rather than a sealed revelation. Right? She asks what it means to be dedicated disciples of your profound presence in our faith, and for the deep, abiding faithfulness of your shared ministry. My prayer is that together, held fast by the promise of a love that abides, we will take this collective moment to lean fully into the here and now, to pull into our bodies and our beings all that calls us back to our best selves, that we might hold with grief of this moment, yes, to hold it with honesty, with openness, with reverence for the sacredness of all life. This time of worried run-up to inauguration for many of us can also be a time of healthy lament. Lament is a spiritual practice, right? And as we hold with gratitude the immense work undertaken by UU the Vote, by other ongoing efforts to bring our values to bear on the moral conscience of our nation, may we be helped to also hold with repentance and regret the foundations of misogyny, racism, xenophobia, ableism, cis-sexism. Will be called to resist the trappings of power and unearned privilege as a people, together. There are many who will attempt, who are already calling on us to the work of reconciliation and wholeness without acknowledging those legacies. Are you hearing it already? May we be reminded that that work cannot begin to move forward until we ourselves are clear about all that brought us to this moment and the real shape of our own living within that history. I believe that we are called to a faithful striving instead. Our Unitarian Universalist tradition reminds us that it is only collectively, together, that we might be saved from the trials and tribulations of injustice. Beloveds, what is your faith asking of you right now? How will you hold another faithful possibility through grief, through hopefulness, through the yearning for beloved community long enough that it might save a life, strengthen a spirit, teach a mind, or encourage even a nation? How might you be a UU disciple in your own understanding of our liberal and liberating tradition each day? God of many names and one abundant love, remind us of our best selves in the weeks, months, and years to come. Help us to believe in goodness again and to call that goodness into being. Help us to model that goodness gracefully, that someone might someday say of us, they saved my life. We saved our lives together. Let us choose love, beloveds, love again and again and again and again and again. May it be so. Amen. Ashe, and blessed be.
Thank you for your patience as we have a lot of moving parts in today's service. And if you would please rise in body or spirit, and we'll be singing the correct hymn, number 34, though I may speak with bravest fire, in our gray hymnal, or follow the words on the screen, fingers crossed. Each Sunday to extinguish the chalice. We extinguish this flame I gotta go do it. Of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
For those who came before us, we offer gratitude and thanks. May their memories be a blessing. May we feel surrounded by their love. As we go forth from this time and place, let us be inspired, as Reverend Betancourt was, by Judith Jameson's courage, grace, and dignity. Let us honor them all by doing the work of living boldly, loving mightily, and creating a better world. Go in peace.